Good afternoon, boys and girls. Here we go again. Welcome to episode 141 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you today live, from YouTube. It's live. I can't start again. Sorry. Excuse me. I promise I have eaten. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already done so, and do leave questions, comments, regardless of whether you're watching live or you're watching the recording. First comment again today goes to Angela, who says, "Hi again, everyone." And Yura, you get the second comment again. What are we doing today in the second of the 3 videos that we're broadcasting today? I would like to share with you briefly this collection, because we're not going to have time to smell all 6, and I have cheated on this one and pre-smelt them all. This should be interesting, says Keith. Yeah, maybe a little bit interesting than you think. Who else is here? Peggy goes, ooh, Versace, and Shimon says, cześć. Hi. This is the Versace exclusive collection, so I'm sure you are aware that pretty much every single brand out there has got their own exclusive collection. The most famous one is probably Chanel's exclusive. You know, we've got the Dior one that keeps changing its name. At one point it was the Collection Privée. I don't even remember what it's called now. They've all got them. And Versace got in on the game, I think, last year. I think technically these are 2019 scents. And this is the sample set that I was sent. A very attractive sample set, I have to say. The vials go in here. I've lined them up here already, and very, very thoughtfully, actually, this is handy. You get these ceramic discs, these sort of porous discs, because these things are actually very, very good at holding fragrance, so they act as a different sort of blotter. And in case anybody is wondering, in case the completists there want to know exactly what this housed, this little slot here was for a USB stick holding the press material. And Q George says, well, we are getting to these overpriced Versace's now. Yeah, and I think maybe we may be on a similar page with this one. So what have we got? We have got each one named after a particular or referencing a particular material. So there's Cèdre de Diamant, Éclat de Rose, Jasmin Au Soleil, Figue Blanche, Santal Boisé, and Vanille Rouge, which is fine. You know, if you want to reference materials, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I have to say that I wasn't especially wowed by a single one of them. And in fact, a few of them I actually thought were an exercise in quite crass cynicism from Versace. These things are not cheap, okay? I think in the UK they retail at £340 per bottle, and you know that's kind of really pushing it territory. I think when Frederic Malle can sell 100 mils of Portrait of a Lady for whatever it is now. I think it's probably gone up to about 250 or maybe 240, which is also really horrifically expensive. I mean, you know, 4 of those and you've spent £1,000. But at least Portrait of a Lady is Portrait of a Lady. The greatest perfume of the last decade and probably one of the greatest ever made. These are not by any stretch of the imagination the greatest perfumes ever made. In fact, I'm sorry to say that they came across as really uninspired, generic, and I don't think even made with especially high quality materials. There were some that I liked more than others, and I'm just trying to see the names here. The Jasmine one was passable. I just saw somebody's asking what concentration they are. They are EDPs, they're eau de parfum. The Jasmin Au Soleil, sunny jasmine, that was fine, but they don't really go beyond fine, this range. I mean, I can't recommend that anybody spends £340 on them. To give the brand its due, I think the £340, most of it is really going on the bottles, because apparently every single bottle is handmade. Apparently the name of the perfume is handwritten on each bottle. I mean, okay, is there somebody out there who's going to look at the bottle and go, oh wow, I'm so glad that this was handwritten? Another thing that Versace make a thing of is that the Medusa logo that you get on the cap is 3D. Great, if somebody loves the Medusa logo that much. Here we go. The Jasmine one. The Jasmine one is the sort of well done, dewy, dewy and dawny, sun-filled jasmine, maybe a little bit saline, of the sort that you've probably smelt lots of times before. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing that would make me think, oh my goodness, this has got to be in my collection of jasmine perfumes, and yes, I'm going to save up for months so I can afford the £340 bottle. Lots of responses to this one so far. Ashfaq says, I remember seeing it on your Instagram. I did show it on my Instagram, yes. That's quite a big box for such small samples. Wish they were a bit more generous. The ceramic discs make great drawer pomander, says Peggy. Yes, absolutely they do. Keith says, I've not had the chance to try these, but I've heard that they are overpriced. I think on this occasion, that's not even debatable. They are overpriced. I'm ready for the cough phrase, says Dhruva. Well, you've made it in time. Ashfaq says, let's move on. The new exciting brand, is that FB? Oh, well, we save that for the next video. The brand isn't new, though. It's new to me. Yura says, more than Amouage. Yes, certainly in terms of price, more than Amouage, but in terms of everything else, definitely not more than Amouage. Emperor's New Clothes, says Angela. Yes, a good analogy to make here. You can't make a silk purse, etc., etc. What is that? I want to be able to get this name right. Aim Son Moon. I hate getting people's names wrong, but of course with names, to handles, it's hard. Charging markup for a handwritten label seems like daylight robbery. Nick1447 says, I've seen some testers of this range available at discounters, but even with nearly 50% off the price, I'm thinking they're still likely overpriced. Well, just done with work, says Gino, and so happy to catch this live. Greetings from Singapore. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hello from Minneapolis, says Lauren. Minneapolis, shouting it out like that always makes me think of Janet Jackson. Just discovered your channel, says Lauren. Thanks for tuning in. Creed seems more palatable now. Ooh, okay, no, don't need to go that far. Q George says, Carolina Herrera Confidential EDT line pretty much does the same job and considerably cheaper. Renault says, I'm not even going to comment on the fact that as soon as somebody... Do you have like some kind of an audio alert, Monsieur Salmon, that as soon as somebody mentions your brand, it's like, bing, he tunes in. And Vanny says, everything about modern Versace feels inconsistent, including and especially collections like this. And it's already turning into something not particularly inspiring. We'll spray another one, the other one that I thought was fairly passable, but let's look at their press material. I can assure you that it's very, very brief, and I have got it here. Here we go. Conceived in 1989 as an experimental laboratory, Atelier Versace focuses on innovation and research in design, materials, and technology. But not in perfume, I suppose. The entire haute couture collection is created in Versace's Milanese atelier, starting from the aesthetic research and visionary design to the hundreds of hours of meticulous workmanship by hand. Atelier has always represented a celebration of the origins for Versace, a reminder of Gianni and Donatella's mother, a dressmaker who passed on the family's sartorial traditions from her studio, etc., etc. The new luxury line consists of 6 scents ranging from fresh to floral to woody, and then it describes each one briefly. I'll read the Jasmine one. Another collaboration with Nathalie Lawson. I mean, superb perfumer, but she will provide what she's asked to provide. Jasmin Au Soleil highlights jasmine flowers from India, picked at sunrise to preserve their freshness. Petals are complemented by beeswax from France, containing balsamic and honey notes, with hints of hay and tobacco, adding a light, velvety dimension to the perfume. The sensual tones are paired with fresh lemon and cedarwood notes. And there you have it. And I think, to my nose, the other one that was kind of potentially interesting was it the Fig? But if I just... No, that's the sandalwood vanilla... Let's see... There you go. Figue Blanche, white fig, which was, again, fine. But you sort of can't shake off how expensive these are and what you're getting for it, Yeah, that's probably quite symbolic of what we think of them. Yeah, I suppose what makes this one interesting is that it's not so obviously figgy. The fig note is kind of hovering in the background, and actually what you get is a more saline, beachy feel. So it's figs maybe at the beach. What does it say about it? Evoking the Mediterranean summer, Figue Blanche encompasses fresh fig notes mixed with the pulp and essential oils of the Italian mandarin. The warm olfactory tones are complemented with zesty hints of bergamot and neroli. The fragrance is enriched with jasmine and rose petals and was concocted by perfume creator Marie-Pierre Julien, who strives to reveal something unexpected in the most familiar notes. She probably would have loved to have revealed something unexpected in the most familiar notes in this perfume, but I think maybe the powers that be at Versace said, no, let's just stick to the familiar, because we want to make sure that we don't rock the boat too much. It's pleasant. It's pleasant. It's not £340 worth of pleasant. Sorry to keep going on about the price in this one, because I normally think that price is a sort of personal matter that people should just decide upon them for themselves. But in this case, I just thought, goodness me. So, before we finish this video and move on to the final one for today, final comments. Love it when Monsieur Samuel joins us, says Angela. I know, it's always a little bit freaky though, isn't it? Davlone T says, given the funds that these large companies and the presumed access to the perfumers and ingredients from companies like IFF, Givaudan, etc., why do you think they end up making some boring stuff? I think, in a nutshell, because they think, and probably a lot of the time they're right, that predictability and familiarity for certain brands is what sells. I think if Versace made something that was genuinely out there and innovative, it might appeal to a few people in our circle, but a few people in our circle is not going to be enough ringing at the tills for a brand like Versace. I think it comes down to that. Ashfaq says, the way you're describing it reminds me of the Fondang line. It also ended up at a UK discounter. And Yura would like to know, Renaud, are you a fan of Amouage? I love it when Persolaise tears down an entire line. Oh dear, do you? Well, call a spade a spade. And Renaud would like you to know, Yura, that he is a fan of Amouage. We need to stop this correspondence now. And we need a Creed episode as a year-ending entertainment, Mr. P. Ashfaq says, I would have no problem with that, but I don't think any Creed samples are going to be making their way to me anytime soon. So, thank you very much for watching. If you are sticking around for the final live episode of today, then I will reveal now that this is a brand that I'm so excited about. I think a lot of you will be aware of it already because it has been around for 4 years, but I won't say any more about it. See you in a few minutes. Bye.